Senator Blunt.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Baum, you've had a lot of experience before the FEC. Are there times when you've been particularly frustrated, or from your personal experience as a person that has dealt with the FEC a lot, what kind of things do you think the FEC could do that would be more helpful to campaigns and candidates and the people that represent campaigns and candidates?
Sure. So thank you for that. And one of the frustrations that I think we face as practitioners and that candidates face is time. And a complaint is filed, and it could take years to be adjudicated. And that complaint is hanging over that candidate's head, that campaign's head. And in the event of a candidate who's no longer running, they can't close their committee until after the case is closed. I think that's kind of a broader matter, and one the commission is really working on, especially since it's found a new quorum, on speeding that along. But there's also practical things, and I think that being a resource for those in the regulated community, having a way to answer questions, which the FEC is starting to do, are other ways that you can really improve the process, make it easier for candidates, especially candidates that may not have the funds to spend on lawyers to work through the process.
So on the whole idea of the files and the time it takes to process this, and I think we've both mentioned, and I know I mentioned in my comments, the importance of clearing through this backlog, but I've heard recently that the FEC is not always voting now to close files when they've reached a final determination. It seems to me that it's unnecessary to have a file out there that's still available to the public if or other attorneys if the FEC has made a final decision on that. What's your view on whether these files that have been decided on, how should they be handled?
I believe they should be closed.
Okay, good. And you'll commit to advocating for that?
Yes.
As a member of the commission? Senator Klobuchar mentioned your work and your agreement that to step back if you've done legal work for campaigns that have a case. Give me the broad outlines of that for both the people you've represented, and if there are any outlines for others that your firm has represented, just share that with us, would you?
Sure. So under that agreement, I would have to recuse myself for a period of 2 years from any candidate that I've done work with or any client, and 2 years for any matter that involves that involves Sandler Reef.
Okay. And then what if you had a question after that? How would you resolve that?
If I have a question after that, I would go and bring that question to the Ethics Council and ask for their opinion, and I would follow that opinion.
Good. As long as where your personal opinions are concerned, in the past we've heard concerns about commissioners advocating for certain legislation or commenting on potential investigations, appearing to establish their own view of this before they deal with the case. What is your view of your role as a legislative advocate or making comments on things that might appear before the commission?
If I'm confirmed, I certainly am aware that the role is to be a regulator, not a lawmaker, and I wouldn't intend to go outside those bounds. I can't speak to other commissioners, but what I can say is what I would do, which is stick to enforcing the law and regulating the law as written by Congress, not as I would want it to be. In addition, I would be working with my fellow commissioners on the yearly unanimous recommendations that they make to Congress, and I would see that as the extent to my advocacy.
And how important do you think unanimity is at the FEC?
I think unanimity would be fantastic as often as we can find it. And there are many issues that they do find full agreement on.
So what about your approach to implementing legislation that you don't agree with, your past support for changing certain campaign finance policies or other things? How would you deal with those kinds of issues?
Well, I certainly respect the different role between the role as a private lawyer versus the role as a commissioner, should I be confirmed. So my job, if confirmed, would be to enforce and regulate the law as written by Congress and interpreted by the courts, not what I want it to be.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Blunt. Senator King.